Okay, there are a few things I've learned after being attacked more than once over the years by outrage mobs. I used to think these mobs were kind of an exclusively far left, regressive phenomena, but lately I've seen the power of the salt right. And so I figured why not put down some of my experiences and what I've learned in a video to help others. What are my credentials exactly? Well, I've survived having my entire YouTube channel mass flag down, survived having 2 companies banned from Patreon at the same time, banned from Twitter, doxxed, and among other things, I'm still here. I want to also start with a bit of a conclusion. There is really no 100% way to insulate yourself online. Even the most careful people end up getting exposed at some point. If you value absolute anonymity, being on the internet just isn't a place for you anymore. From what I can tell from my own experience, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of people who get doxxed are entirely fine once the emotional reaction to it ends. Most platform bannings are survivable, but they aren't entirely unavoidable. After all, we live in a world where one political ideology dominates the places of leadership and our favorite platforms like Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. If you want to best protect yourself in 2018, it's not easy. And in my opinion, there are some basically table stakes things anyone who values at least sort of free speech or values not being censored in 2018. If anything, if you're anything but family friendly, these rules or these tips should help you, and they should really become your new normal. Programs like Hootsuite are great tools to let you manage multiple social media accounts from one place. And so I'm going to talk about 3 things that you can do to best insulate yourself, and then some more next level things that you can do. For example, if you're a content creator or someone who relies on the internet to receive funding. So one of the things is actively have at least 2 social media accounts on all social media, and make sure you promote them at least once a month. On YouTube, a single strike can kill your ability to live stream, which, as we know these days, is a particularly important way for content creators to fund themselves. Keeping your live streams on a second account is not a horrible idea. At the very minimum, make sure to have alternate accounts on all major platforms that you promote from time to time. I, of course, have Midwestly, and I have it in the description of all my videos, but people need to be more active about just reminding people once a month, hey, make sure you follow my other alt accounts. I promise I won't post a bunch there, but in case something ever happens to this account, you'll know how to find me. Now, only your most dedicated fans will take the time to follow multiple accounts of you, but that's kind of the best goal you have. Censorship by places like Facebook and Twitter, they're effective with killing off at least 25 to 30% of your followers, even if you're able to make a steady climb back. But these are methods to kind of avoid catastrophic losses in your audience. You need to also invest time, as a second suggestion, into platforms that support free speech, even if the audience isn't actively there right now. One thing I can do in 2018 to improve is making sure I'm more active on areas like minds.com and gab.ai. At least once a week, make sure you're posting in these areas. And again, allow your core audience to move over there. If we don't support sites like minds.com or gab.ai, they won't last. And as we've seen with many alternative options to YouTube, for example, like VidMe or BitChute, it's almost impossible to compete with the behemoth that are these large social media sites like Twitter or Twitch and things like that. But there are options. And if we don't do the extra work to support these options, they'll die. And then when we get banned from places, mainstream places, we won't have anywhere to go. I started this year actively wanting to spread my YouTube channels to Twitch, but given their recent remarks on following people's personal social media accounts and using that as bannable offenses on Twitch, given their propensity to bend the knee to social media outrage mobs, I no longer see Twitch as a viable alternative for YouTubers or for video content creators. So I'm looking into apps, and maybe the comment section below can serve as additional tools for you. If you have alt accounts on Gab or Minds, feel free to promote them anytime in my comment sections. It's important that we support these platforms, not just with our content, but with our money and our assets, because they are the last line of defense against complete censorship. Now, if you use something like a third idea here, our third step is if you use something like Patreon, make sure you have a backup option. If you're a content creator or somebody who relies on crowdfunding for anything, make sure you have a backup option like maker support, and actively let people know that supporting you there is actually better for you as a creator, because they take less of a percentage, so more of their donation goes to you as a creator. And if people care about that, and certainly they will if they're backing you on a place like Patreon, then they'll move over. It takes just a few minutes, and as you insulate yourself there, you will have yet another layer, right? They can come for your Twitter, they can come for your Facebook, they can come for your YouTube. You have to start insulating. As we've seen with my banning from Patreon for relatively nothing, these things will only get worse. They're not going to get better. As they gain more political capital, more money, places like Patreon and Twitter will continue to get more aggressive about pushing their ideologies. And when this next election cycle comes up in 2020, make no mistake about it, they will get even more brazen in their bannings to silence people whom they may disagree with. That's why heading into 2020, it's really important to me, and it should be important to all of you, to be supporting Minds.com and supporting places like Gab.ai, because if we don't do the extra effort, they'll die. And we'll make ourselves much easier to control. Now, some next level protection ideas that I've learned from my own interactions with being banned, especially for a content creator or for somebody who relies on social outreach or crowdfunding. Set up your own website. Host your videos in the Amazon cloud or your podcasts, and be protected. There are a ton of free plugins out there that will basically mirror your content or allow you to host videos pretty cheaply. Places like Vimeo are an option as well. Vimeo is an option as well for embedding. But I find the Amazon cloud extremely affordable, and I've never had a problem with them. I did this with Unsleeved Media when I knew I would be under attack, and it took me about a weekend. And I launched unsleevedmedia.com. It's a way for my most loyal supporters to interact with me. And it also opens up a wide variety of other tools for me to reach people. Having somebody's website taken down is not impossible these days. But if you properly register it, you register your domain privately, and you try to maintain some anonymity around where your hosting is, it'll be much more difficult for somebody to get, for example, a big company or even a smaller company. You know, I recommend using companies like Liquid Web and things like that for VPSs, because they don't care about politics. They just sell server space. And once you have your own website created, then you can move into step 2, where you can start building support, financial support, selling merch in places outside of Patreon and similar services. Ways your fans can back you directly. You can set up pretty easily. For example, here's an easy option for creators or people who rely on crowdfunding. You can actually set up your own monthly subscription links inside of PayPal. It's entirely free. You could put those links in your video descriptions or tweet them out or whatever, and you can set whatever denominations you want. So let's say you had a $5 a month club or a $3 a month club. Just create a Patreon subscription that people can subscribe to. Now, they need to try and get PayPal to ban you. And that's much more difficult than Patreon or other sites who have clear political bias. You can create custom backing, one-time donations with your own PayPal links. No need to sign up for anything. You could also go another layer and set up your own credit card processing on the website using like authorize.net, or you can also continue to use PayPal or Amazon Pay, whatever you want. And there's a bunch of free plugins, WordPress plugins or WooCommerce. You can use things like a member to do monthly membership subscription. I'm old school. I used to use a member, but Unsleeved Media works on a free plugin that if I wanted to set up a monthly subscription to like premium content, it's a click of a button. And people can pay $1 or $2 or $3 a month. Then who are the social media outrage mobs going to come to? I'm processing my own payments. They're never going to figure out who's actually processing it. And if they do, good luck calling authorize.net and saying your customer says mean things on the internet. Good luck. These companies don't have a social media profile. They don't have a social media outreach program. They just exist to process credit cards. And they are not going to be influenced by Twitter hate mobs to fire clients. Strongly worded emails aren't going to have nearly the impact on companies like Authorize or WorldPay because they don't care. And it took me about a weekend to set this up. So if you are looking to do funding, I think people need to move towards doing it themselves, getting educated. And by the way, you can email me or DM me on Twitter, and I'm happy to share with you the plugins I use or the services that I use because I want to see more people move to our own level of funding. We can't rely on Patreon. We can't rely on Kickstarter or Indiegogo because these people are activists now. They care less about the product that they're selling and more about the politics of the people who are buying it. So we have to do the extra work. And the third step, one of the most important things I learned, and I'm going to end on this, is email addresses. This is a forgotten art. In the 90s, email marketing was at an all-time high. People were becoming millionaires over email marketing lists. Nowadays, it's more difficult. It's become kind of a forgotten thing. And when my Patreon got banned, my biggest tool was that email list of former patrons. I was able to obtain that. And about 80% of the people immediately moved over. And you know why? Because they answered the email that I sent them. People need to use services like, for example, MailChimp. I have an Unsleeved Media mail list, but I need to create one for the quartering here in February. And don't use it to spam people. You can email them maybe when you have a new blog post up or maybe when you have a new video up. We can't rely on the YouTube notification system anymore. And just like all of you, notice we're getting constantly unsubscribed by YouTube. People tell me every day that they're getting unsubscribed to my channels. Now, could be a glitch, but it could be on purpose. If I have your email address and I can email you directly when a new video is up or when a new blog post is up or when new merch is on sale, now I don't have to rely again on YouTube to do that. So having multiple social media accounts, using services that support free speech is a next level thing, but taking control of your base is really what it's going to take in the next couple of years to stay uncensored, to continue to reach your fans. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I do this sort of stuff for a living, managing email lists, web servers. I know it seems like a lot, but to be honest, I set up all of my layers of insulation in about a weekend. And it's just become part of my routine. I post less probably than I used to, but I post to more places. And the more of us that embrace this diversified approach, this multi-layered insulative approach, the harder will be to censor. And when this next political cycle comes around, we won't be so easy to control. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to be notified the next time I upload a video, make sure you subscribe and take a moment to turn on notifications. If you want to support the cause of this channel, it survives because of the amazing generosity of those that choose to back me on Maker Support. The link is in the description, and hopefully you'll consider backing today.